Hey, how's it going? Nat here. Let's see what's making news. US President Donald Trump has said no to Australia's request to be exempt from US tariffs on steel and aluminium. Here's Justina.
Such a decision by the Trump administration is entirely unjustified. This is against the spirit of our two nations' enduring friendship.
Yeah, it wasn't the news Australia wanted to hear today, as US President Donald Trump followed through on his plan to slap a 25% tariff on Aussie steel and aluminium. A tariff is basically a tax, or an extra cost that governments put on products that come from another country. In recent weeks, the White House announced plans to impose new tariffs on lots of products from Canada, Mexico and China, and impose tariffs on steel and aluminium from all countries, including Australia. The idea is to make things from overseas more expensive, to encourage people in America to buy stuff that's made locally.
Other countries have taken away our business, they've taken away our jobs.
Australia asked for an exemption to the tariffs because of our strong economic relationship, but today it was denied.
Tariffs and escalating trade tensions are a form of economic self-harm and a recipe for slower growth and higher inflation.
For now, the government says it won't retaliate by putting tariffs on US products coming to Australia, and instead is fighting to change the mind of Donald Trump.
Today's news is disappointing, but we don't see this issue as being over by any means.
The cleanup from ex-tropical cyclone Alfred is underway in southeast Queensland and northern parts of New South Wales. Floodwaters are starting to recede and all emergency alerts have been cancelled as locals start to assess the damage. Tens of thousands of people are still without power and in some areas, phone lines are down.
Just nothing.
Meanwhile, lots of students returned to school today and some shops are starting to reopen. Last week, for the first time ever, a commercial spacecraft came back from orbit and landed in Australia. Here's Tatenda with more.
It's not very often you get to see something hurtle through outer space and land in your backyard. But these kids in Canberra got a front row seat as a space capsule came back to Earth.
It looks like a shooting star.
Really cool how it came and landed so close to where we live.
That round thing behind Taylor is the Vada W2 capsule. It took off from California in January on board a SpaceX Transporter 12 rocket, and it orbited Earth on its own for more than 6 weeks before landing at the Canberra test range right here in South Australia.
This capsule right here just flew back from space at 8 kilometers per second. And this part was hotter than the surface of the sun.
And as if surviving a trip to space and back isn't impressive enough, this capsule did an important job while it was there.
You can't see it from the outside, but there's a little robot inside that's performing the experiment.
The experiment was to see whether there are benefits to making drugs in space.
Basically, when you're in weightlessness, when you're floating around in space, can you produce something that has a different effect on a patient? Can you get a medicine that works better?
The W2 is actually the first commercial spacecraft ever to land in Australia. And the people in our growing space industry reckon it won't be the last. They're hoping missions like this will help to inspire the space scientists of the future.
It gets you really curious about all the different stuff that you have to do in the job. It'd be pretty cool to do it.
Now it's time for some stories that'll get your heart racing. But only figuratively, of course. Tachycardia is no joke. Ooh, that was all right. First up to the King, testing out his CPR skills. He was visiting the Royal College of Nursing to check out a program encouraging young people to get into healthcare. Now to Paris, where it's the end of Fashion Week and a big event by luxury fashion brand Chanel was taking place. Hang on, now that's fashion. Yep, this pigeon temporarily stole the spotlight as people were waiting for the show to begin. I think it was just making sure the runway was safe, you know, giving it a test run. And finally, to a baby sea lion who's got hearts beating at this aquarium in the US.
We always joke a little bit that she's acting as a ribbon dancer because it does look so artistic under the water.
The ribbon is actually artificial kelp designed to mimic the real stuff they would find in the wild. And she's quickly become the aquarium's most acrobatic sea lion. Whew, and that's time. That's all from us today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now. Yeah, not bad.